I'm going to go into the next question. The next question is, what's the most recent act of romance that your spouse has done for you? And well, this morning, Russ got up and I was like, I got to get ready. And he's like, okay, I'll get everything set up. He set up all of the lighting and the seating. And, he was like, is this good? Does this, and he just is very conscious of the little details that I was like, I was just going to be like, let's just go in front of my dresser like I always do. We'll be fine. But no, he wanted to make sure we were comfortable, everything was set. I came out. I felt like a movie star because all of the lights were on and he had everything was cleaned up. And then he had my tea and my water there ready for me, and so, but that's not just today. That's like every morning where he makes sure that I know how much I'm appreciated and loved. So that's one of the things. I mean, he did plan our honeymoon, which is completely extravagant and gonna be amazing. And I can't wait for it. And to me, again, taking care of the details, that's one of the things that I just wouldn't have done. And he took care of those little details. So next.
I know we're going this way.
Well, yeah.
This one was actually harder because, and Reg and I were talking about this the other night. Culturally, women doing romantic gestures isn't something that is, super normal. Now, Reg does things for me all the time. I'll be washing the dishes and she comes up and she puts her arms around me and just kisses the back of my neck. That's romantic to me. She, if I've had a rough day, I'll just put my head on her chest and she'll just rub my back. Those things are romantic. But as far as big, grand gestures, that's kind of culturally a thing that the guys do and not so much the women. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but it just is.
Would you want a bouquet of flowers?
I wouldn't complain. I don't expect it. But, this isn't a super recent thing because every day is a romantic day for us. We just, maybe it's because we're newlyweds. I like to think not. I want to keep this going forever. But we just appreciate each other and we talk to each other. We'll sit and play rummy while we're eating dinner at a restaurant. We do little things for each other. But one of the things that really, really touched my heart is she has these stone hearts that are polished stone. And for different events, like our wedding and when I proposed to her, she gave me different stone hearts. And that's just really, and I have them on my nightstand just to remind me of those events. And that to me is super romantic.
Okay, who wants to go now?
What was the question?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just asking, what was the question again?
Oh, the question is the most recent romantic gesture because you guys have years and years and years and years of romance.
Right.
Okay, so like Russ, my hubby, every time we're doing our Her Time episodes, like I come and he's got tea, water, everything, cough drops in case, whatever, I has everything set up, which I think is super sweet. But one thing I wanted to say was that he mentioned that we had gone to Gatlinburg. That was a very spontaneous thing. That was very
last minute.
Very, very, very last minute. And he did have to work from where we were at, but like in the evenings, we were, excuse me, in the evenings we were able to go explore and look around and everything. So anyway, we went to this area that it was in Pigeon Forge, and it was like a kind of like a downtown Disney type of place where there's just kind of like a
stores and rides and stuff like that. Yeah.
So anyway, as we were there was this huge
Ferris wheel.
Ferris wheel, yeah. And he was like, babe, we've never been on a Ferris wheel ride together. And I was like, that's true. And he's like, let's go. And I was like, really? I don't know. I'm like, and to me, I'm Miss Practical all the time. How much is it though? Is it a lot? And he's like, babe, just come on. So he went and he got us tickets and we went on the Ferris wheel and we were able to look over, and it stopped at the top, of course. And we were all cuddly and all that. And I thought that was like, wow, that was super sweet and thoughtful and just like,
very romantic.
Yeah, it was romantic.
It was at nighttime. Christmas lights were out.
Yeah,
it was just
it was
a
beautiful.
nice moment. It was a magical moment.
Yeah, it was very sweet, and it was like, wow. And in almost 22 years of marriage, we had never been on a Ferris wheel together, and I thought, wow, that was super sweet. So, and I think and when Russ was saying that culturally, women, I was like, oh my gosh, do I do anything romantic for you?
I just mentioned,
besides little things.
I mentioned she's very thoughtful. She's just, whenever I need prayer, whenever I'm having a hard time at work, I come upstairs and there she is. She'll pray for me. She's just.
Or I've left you little notes by your.
Yeah, she left me. Yes, yeah, thank you. She said, "I love you, Papo. You're the best. You're the best."
Remind them of the notes.
I haven't read in front of my computer, so I was right there, and she just says, "I love you, Papo. You're the best salesman there is. God's with you," and it just made my day. Made my day a whole lot better. So little gestures like that. That's just very romantic and very thoughtful, and very loving.
Jose, Rosie?
Yeah. So the most recent, well, I have to say there's two. When we were planning our trip to Europe, and this was this past summer, normally I'm the one that takes care of a lot of the things. But in this occasion, Jose planned everything. I mean, he took care of all the details. It was like I didn't have to worry about anything. And I remember during our trip where I turned to him and I said, wow, I'm like really impressed that you were able to take care of everything. And to me, I felt secure. I felt safe. I felt like I didn't have to worry about it. He was taking me into consideration. And I mean, we had a blast and, it felt nice. The second one was, my birthday. He'll usually lock in a place, a restaurant. But he's done this a couple times, even on Mother's Day, where he'll just cook the meal. And for my birthday, he was like, "What do you want?" And I said, "You know what? I want one of your steaks." Just, and he planned it, and him, Asela and my husband, like, she made a piece of cake. Like, they did everything, and I felt like that was the best meal I had, or at just ever. And so it was amazing. It was delicious. And just the fact that he was thoughtful on planning and preparing that for me meant a lot and was very romantic. Yeah. So
I want one of your steaks.
Wow.
Yes, definitely. Why can't we have romance? I love steak.
I'm thinking about this question, and it's easy for me just to answer it, but I want to say something because I wanted to say something earlier to your comments. And going back to romance marks us, and going back to the theme of as men, to be romantic, it's expected of us. It's chivalrous. It's being that knight in shining armor and always trying to do something for our wives. But is it expected in our culture for the woman to be romantic? And there's different ways that they show that, and different ways that they can mark us. But thinking about the audience that we may have, I don't want the audience to think that all four boxes that are here of couples, that everything's peachy keen. And there was a time in our marriage that we went through a dry spell of romance. It was non-existent. And I remember that we sat down and we had a conversation, and I told my wife how I felt. In other words, we're missing we're missing the romance. We're missing certain things, and we sometimes we take things for granted, and we can be hurtful. And I was hurting, and that's unexpected for the man to be hurting. It's always the woman is hurting because, hey, he's not being romantic enough, but the man can be hurt as well. And the same way that the romance marks us in a positive way, when there's a lack of romance, then those memories that we've made start to disappear. And that's where someone else can come and throw a romance our way, throw a memory our way, throw a gesture our way that may be like, oh wow, I needed that compliment. You know, so that conversation that we had, you know, caused us to react and say, hey, wait a second, we got to do things differently. I think I've told you guys before that I'm a soaker. Like, I love my tub. I love soaking in my tub. It's almost religious to me. My tub time.
Every day.
That's a place where I can go and think and meditate and come up with new ideas. My wife, on the other hand, is not a soaker. She is not a tub person. And, you know, every time I see my wife, I'm like, hey, babe, you know, why don't you join me? Join me. You know, sometimes about years of But then after this conversation, one day I see her come into the bathroom, you know, and we'll keep this G-rated, you know, she comes in and she's got her little robe. And then I'm like, you gonna go take a shower? You know, because the shower's right next. And then she's like, no, I'm gonna jump in the tub with you. And forget it. You know what I mean? Like, wow, oh my goodness. After so long, you know, she's jumping in the tub with me. You know what I mean? But it meant a lot to me. It at that moment it filled that tank. Like, you know, wow, okay, she really loves me. She really cares. She's in the tub. She doesn't want to be here. And she's in the tub with me. So we'll leave it at that.
I show him love in many other ways.
Oh, no, yes.
He wants coffee. I'm going to put my hand on his thigh right now. You know?
Bringing me water.
Yes, I bring him his water. We were talking about this with Sayla, you know, going through the questions. And she was like, I know mom shows you romance, but what do you do for mom, you know? And so we were back and forth, but I was like, I bring you your water, I'll get you your towel, I rub your feet, you know? So there's a lot of things, right? But the tub is kind of one that I'm like, like that.
So we have to be mindful. In other words, we have to be mindful that we both need
guys.
We both need it. We both need romance. And if we and the warning is that if we don't, and there becomes a lack of it, someone else can step in and try to fill those shoes. And that's the last thing we want, because that's what the enemy wants to do. He wants to destroy our marriages.
Well, God intended. Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
Romance is connection.
Yes.
And it's a connection that keeps you together and young and alive. And it fertilizes, it nourishes your marriage and your relationship.
Yeah.
Amen.
I think that, you know, I love what you said, it fertilizes, but you know, years of marriage, like Jose said, there's a point where sometimes, let's keep it real, right? You go through dry spells in your marriage. So it's important to keep that romance alive, to be intentional, to be in tune with each other. And I think the older we grow in our marriage, I feel more connected, because I think a lot of times you think of romance and you think, well, okay, right, what's coming right after that? You know, and so, you know, sometimes you just want to cuddle. Sometimes you just want to just put your head on his shoulder, or, you know, not expect anything because I'm doing something for you. So, you know, it's just being intentional, being in tune, being connected. And I think the older that we're getting, I feel like we're just more in tune with each other.
I can only imagine. 36 years.
You are harder.
That's a lot of in-tuneness.
Yeah, that's a lot of.
We're becoming twinsies.
Twinsies. He's gonna jump in the tub with you.
Yeah. All I'm thinking about is a trip to Home Depot to buy a giant tub right now. Well, we are 36 years in, and we didn't talk about this. For me, my wife and I, well, we've been intentional about this. We've developed, and we want to speak to the other three cubes here. We've developed a rhythm of romance. We have a rhythm of romance that is consistent. Now, it's still spontaneous too. We have a date night. Thursday night is date night. That expectation is always there. Now, with what I do as a pastor, you all know, that can be a 24/7 job. Sometimes there are days where I don't have a lot to do, and sometimes there are weeks where, like, babe, I'm going to be in India. I'm going to be over here. I'm going to be over there. I'm at a prayer meeting. This Thursday coming up, I'm at a men's event in Elgin. However, when those things come up, we do discuss, like, hey, this Thursday, we might need to change date night to another night because I'm going to be over here. So having that rhythm, that consistency, that expectation is romantic for us. I know that on that day, it's going to be intentional. We're either going to go to dinner, we're going to go see a movie or watch a movie at home. We're definitely going to be alone. Whatever that leads to, it leads to, because the assumption that it always leads to the same thing, a sexual act or whatever, is wrong. That is part of the rhythm, but it doesn't always lead to that. Sometimes, like someone else said, I think Rosie made reference to it, sometimes it's just a matter of, this is a time where you and I get to be exclusively together, uninterrupted. The grandson is not over that day. My family knows. The other thing, I'll give you this advice. We've told the stakeholders in our life, because there's people that are in your life but aren't necessarily stakeholders. These are critical, important people in your inner circle. We've told these people Thursday night is date night. I've had my boss say to me, hey, I know it's date night, but can you take a look at this for me tomorrow? He's a stakeholder in my life. He knows Thursday night is date night for Rico and Daisy. So I'm not going to, but I need to get him this message. My kids, Thursday night is date night. You know what that means? So we've kind of developed a rhythm of romance that's consistent and expected and protected. That works for us. We have a rhythm of, in the mornings we do a check-in. Well, for us, that conversation is very romantic. What's your week looking like? How did you sleep last night? How did it go on the treadmill this morning? For us, for other people, they might like, that's not romantic, but for us, it's part of our rhythm of romance, because I think one of the favorite things that my wife and I love to do is conversation. We love talking. We love just, hey, how are you? What's going on? Babe, I got some scriptures I need to kind of sort through. I got a sermon on Sunday on Luke 14. Help me. Can I kind of process it with you quick before I get it out to the people? So we have a rhythm of romance, last year. And we do other cool stuff too. We went to Aruba. That was a nice little naughty trip. Right now, I'm not going to talk about the club. What I mean, we went to Puerto Rico and we went to Aruba. But what was fun about Aruba, here's the naughty part. We were at this little mini resort, I guess. The shower is in the backyard, not in the room. So my wife and I get there, and I made all the arrangements, but I thought the bathroom is a regular bathroom with a tub and a shower. No, it's only a sink and a toilet. The shower is in the backyard, like the yard. Think of your backyard with a shower. So you now have to go to the shower nude, like you go to the shower. There's a hot tub, there's a shower, it's open, like there's the other yard next to it. So some peeping Tom looks over the fence into your yard. There you are taking a shower.
It's a wall, not a fence, but a wall.
Yeah, so there's that too. That's why I call it naughty, because that's not something.
No.
My wife is super modest. This is not something, and it took a little bit to kind of like, hey babe, this is it. You want to take a shower? It's in the backyard. This is it. So
just take a sink
A bird bath. A bird bath.
Yeah, no, we didn't do the. She bit the bullet.
I had to take a shower.
Yeah, she bit the
Yeah.
bullet, and I'm there, and I'm like, okay, this is
Nobody knows
awesome.
you in Aruba. Nobody knows
So-
you in Aruba. It'd be
Yeah,
fine.
so we've developed a rhythm of that's consistent and intentional, and we've told stakeholders about it. They respect it. They protect. My own mother will be like, Junior, I know Thursday is date night. Tomorrow, can you bring me a loaf of bread and some oranges? I'm like, sure, man, no problem, but not on Thursday. You gotta survive. You gotta survive on Thursday. That's it. That's my answer. I think you have to say something.
I do. And it connects to what you just said in that I'm not going to talk about the outdoor shower, but it connects in this way that it is consistent. And the most recent act for me of romance is one that has been going on for 2 decades for us. And that is that before either of us goes up to preach, we are doing this. It's a recognition for us that when one is speaking, the other one is with them, you know. We just had a young man come after Bible study, almost in a corrective tone.
It's like, hey, you two.
Because I had a meeting with a couple while Reek did intro. He was going to teach Bible study. And so I came in post him starting the Bible study. So I come into the sanctuary. And so after the class, the young man is like, hey, but I missed the
Fist pump.
the
What
fist
happened?
pump. What happened? And I said, well, I had a meeting and I came in a little later. But not only is it important that we keep up, but because other people are watching, you know, and this is a young couple, right? This is the husband to a young married couple. And I thought, oh my gosh, it's not just about us. It's about other people who are watching, and we become models for them. And there are expectations that are set. But for you and me, I know that reminds me each time when I'm going up, my husband is with me. I'm not up here by myself, you know, and it's a partnership in the way that we serve people, either through a Bible study or a speaking engagement or a sermon on a Sunday.
I guess the bottom line, this is my last point about this, is that romance, this might lead into the last question, but romance, you think of it as between two people most of the time. It's me and her. All the couples here, what's romantic about us? What we've learned that it isn't only just about us, is that other people are getting cues about romance from us. Look, this is our 36th year. So a lot of people have gotten cues, but it isn't just about me and her. I didn't think about it like that before. But when other people, because I've gotten similar comments from other people saying, I want to tell you this, I've been holding this for a couple of years, but a few years back, my wife and I started really paying attention to you and your wife. And I'm like, really? Yeah, I noticed that on Sundays you would come up and you would get really close to her ear and you would say something. And then you said at the men's retreat one time that you would say the most horrible, dirty, naughty thing, you know, but it was in church, but it was between you and your wife. And now I say dirty things to my wife, you know, so romance can be an inspiration to other people. My point is, it's not always just about her and I, that other people are watching.
Yeah.
Be watching you be quote unquote romantic, and it can encourage them or inspire them or bless them, you know.
Well, that is a great segue into the next question. How, as a couple, answer this. How does your romance or the way you are romantic with each other, how do you hope you pass that on to your children, you know, or even to people close to you, people around you, people, you know, because I